Welcome back. Okay, today we are piecing together a massive cultural detective story. It literally spans decades. We're going to bridge the gap between chart-topping vintage pop music and ancient history. Seriously, it's wild. We'll be looking at how cultures borrow from each other, how they admire one another, and ultimately, how they work together to preserve our shared human heritage. It's this incredible story of rhythm, television, and international cooperation that is absolutely going to give you a whole new perspective on some of your favorite vintage tracks. Let's get into this explainer.
So let's kick things off with a question that might actually seem a little bizarre at first glance. What in the world is the connection between 1970s Japanese pop music and the ancient trade routes of the Middle East and Central Asia? Like, how does a super catchy tune you might hear playing in a retro Tokyo cafe link all the way back to merchants crossing the desert thousands of years ago? Well, to understand this completely unexpected overlap, we first have to ground ourselves in the vibrant musical era that made it all happen. Section 1. Demam Pop Showa Japan, or the Japanese Showa pop fever.
Now, if you've been anywhere on the internet over the last few years, you've definitely noticed the global resurgence of Showa-era pop. It's literally everywhere, right? What really defined this era of Japanese music was its super simple, concise lyrics paired with these incredibly singable, emotionally rich melodies. Japanese artists at the time were absolute masters at taking global sounds and making them entirely their own. Think about Maria Takeuchi's Plastic Love, a track she actually just wrote to surprise her husband, which has this urban, sophisticated city pop vibe that totally took the modern internet by storm. Then you have Hiromi Iwasaki's Cinderella Honeymoon, which boldly mixed traditional Japanese pop with the European Munich sound trend. And of course, Seiko Matsuda's Aoi Sangawosho, bringing that bright, summery idol pop delivered with just exceptional vocal stability. Section 2, Mysteri Lagu Ihoujin, or The Mystery of Ihoujin. Now, amidst all those bright, upbeat tracks of the era, one song stood out for a totally different reason. And this is actually our central musical clue today. The song is called Ihoujin, which translates roughly to foreigner or the stranger. Released back in 1979, get this, it was actually Saki Kubota's debut single. It gained immense overnight popularity as a commercial jingle and skyrocketed into a million seller. But it wasn't just another catchy pop song. The very title, The Stranger, kind of anchored this whole theme of foreign influence and the allure of the unknown. The funny thing is, the song was originally titled White Morning, and it was just inspired by a completely normal, everyday view near a train station in Kubota's hometown. But the final version? It became something entirely different. Kubota amplified the track's mysterious, sort of locationless vibe by incorporating a traditional folk instrument called the dulcimer right in the intro. And wow, this bold arrangement completely transformed the track. It injected it with this exotic, foreign atmosphere that honestly left Japanese listeners craving more of this distant, unfamiliar aesthetic. Section 3, Persona Jilin Sutra, the Silk Road Charm. So this musical craving perfectly primed the culture for what happened next. The exoticism that Ihoujin introduced dovetailed flawlessly with a sudden, massive national obsession with the Middle East and ancient trade routes. The trigger for this? The legendary 1980 NHK documentary series simply titled Silk Roads. You see, before this broadcast, these ancient paths were just distant, abstract concepts for the Japanese public. It was just something they knew from, a few old pictures or textbooks. But this groundbreaking series gave millions of people their very first direct, high-quality visual exposure to these distant lands, their people, and their rich history. To put it into perspective, these routes were incredibly vast. We're talking thousands of kilometers stretching across the map to connect the East and West. And they carried not just silk and spices, but art, religion, and culture itself. Seeing this massive scale beautifully captured on television absolutely captivated the Japanese imagination. It sparked what literally became known as the Silk Roads boom throughout the entire 1980s. And the synchronization between the music and the media here is just uncanny. Check this out. In 1979, the airwaves are totally dominated by the exotic, dulcimer-infused sounds of IHOJIN. The very next year, 1980, NHK drops the first Silk Roads documentary. The fascination becomes so intense that by 1983, a second series is broadcast. The musical and media trends coincided perfectly to create this huge wave of cultural curiosity. It really wasn't just passive entertainment anymore. It was a full-on cultural awakening. Section 4. Menjaga Warisan Dunia, Preserving World Heritage. Now, this pop culture fascination actually matured into significant real-world impact. Japan took on a monumental role in preserving the Silk Road's cultural heritage. We're talking over a decade of incredibly complex documentation work. There was extensive collaboration with Central Asian countries, and they provided crucial, systematic support for getting the Silk Roads nominated to the UNESCO World Heritage List. This was part of the serial transnational nomination, which was honestly one of the most ambitious heritage projects ever attempted. Japan played a critical role in making it happen, basically proving that their fascination went way beyond a passing television trend. It was deeply rooted in genuine respect.
A perfect example of this deep commitment was the International Conference on Turban Studies and Ancient Cities. Japan supported international training workshops, funded geophysical surveys in places like the Kyrgyz Republic and Kazakhstan, and really fostered deep community involvement. They didn't just write a check and walk away. They helped facilitate the actual training and collaboration required to ensure that ancient historical texts, like those handed down in Dunhuang, and these ancient cities actually survived for future generations to study.
Section 5. Irma Lintas Budaya, cross-cultural rhythms.
Bringing this whole story full circle, we really have to acknowledge a critical reality here: overcoming prejudice. The source material notes some instances of pretty stark misunderstandings. Like, there was an audience member at an Arab music concert in Japan who genuinely asked if they were going to hear the music of snake charmers. That kind of blunt prejudice obviously stems from a simple lack of knowledge. But because of this increasing exposure to global arts and active, deliberate cultural appreciation efforts, the Japanese public's interest in and deep respect for Arab and Islamic cultures has grown rapidly. And hey, cultural exchange is always a two-way street, right? Just as Japan embraced the exotic sounds of the Silk Road, they also project their own distinct rhythms outward. Think about the powerful, stable stance of a Japanese taiko drummer. It has this incredibly straightforward visual and oral appeal that just resonates globally. Much like those catchy cross-cultural pop hits of the Showa era, the rhythm of the taiko drum completely transcends language barriers. It's really so much more than just a musical performance. Our sources describe this beautifully, stating, "The image of the drummer striking the drum overlaps with that of the swordsman investing his entire being in a single stroke of sword." Wow. So the taiko drummer actually acquires the spirituality and the concentrated, almost destructive power of ancient samurai martial arts. It's this breathtaking expression of indigenous Japanese tradition that utterly captivates international audiences, creating a whole new kind of cultural exchange. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly exciting thought. From a simple dulcimer in a 1970s pop song to a massive television documentary boom to an ambitious UNESCO heritage project, right down to the thunderous strike of a taiko drum, we are looking at an ongoing, beautiful loop of exchange. As our global culture continues to intertwine faster than ever before, what will be the next Silk Road that connects our distinct rhythms? Keep your ears open because the next massive cultural bridge might just start with a simple pop song. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to go give IHOJIN a listen with fresh ears.